Hello, good evening.
Cheers.
Hello.
Lucky.
Good evening. Blay the bongos and he'll be here. How's everybody doing?
100%.
Pretty
100%.
good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, good. The picture.
So Benny,
may
Benny,
be-
before you start, Benny, Micah wants to remind you to send him the slam that you owe him from the 3-day giveaway.
Jesus, I'm terrible.
No.
Yeah,
can keep
I'll
it,
remind
Benny.
I'll remind you tomorrow, Benny.
You
Okay.
can keep it.
Let's
Just
focus
come to
on
a
the
1-hour trade session
man.
with the community. Then you can keep it.
Okay. All right. So, let's get underway. Where do we want to start this week? I know that I've got lots of questions come through, but I'll let it go over you.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions, Benny, with regards to a certain monkey.
Do VFOX holders own a percentage of the ape? And a monkey is not an ape, sir.
No, I said no. XP.
Let's start with Bored Ape Yacht Club 5503. As you can probably see, we bought that about a month or so ago, and it is in relation to and due to something that we are working on. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Pete, you promised.
I think the good part about it is that you are not going to have to wait very long at all for the explanation as to what and why. Has the team thought about protocol-owned liquidity, in particular using Olympus Pro? If not, then maybe in the future, instead of getting it by offering liquidity mining rewards.
Yeah, Michael sent me a long article and a long what do you call this, wall of text on Telegram. I still couldn't figure it out. It's a different way of doing farming for tokens, Benny.
So I can say that we're looking at different methods and options for that. We've got a couple of ideas that would align well with the products that we've got coming up, especially in relation to NFTs. We've been playing around with ideas for quite a while, and there's the potential to combine the two things: the NFTs, liquidity, and also mining, staking, farming. So that will also be dependent on what type of deals we strike with some of the new partners that we've got coming on as well. That's probably all I can say about that. I'll have a look into the Olympus DAO. I don't know about it, and I'm better off not to talk about something if I don't understand it or know it. So we can have a look into it for you. Decentralized financial infrastructure. Yeah, we're talking to a couple of people in relation to these types of things at the moment, but it's early days. So getting back to communities and utility, obviously we've been working towards being able to expand our community to bring in other communities, and we've finally got the opportunity to do that. So along with all of this information, CCR, why we'll start to explain some of the utility of all KOGs. Fads is here tonight with us, and so is the gaming team. I'm not going to talk about things before they're due to be talked about, but we're just organising stuff now, and where you'll start seeing more context come out over the next 24 to 48 hours. When can I slam with my KOGs?
Yep. You guys seen the teasers we put out today? I think there was a comment about how poor the game was between Chino and Phil. It wasn't, like I said, I'll defend them. It wasn't based on flexing. It was just to make sure the KOGs are clearly seen. XP, I'll challenge you one-on-one because of that statement. And then we submitted our application to Google Play and Apple Store as well. So we expect a reply probably by next week. Once that's done, we hope to get people to pre-register for the game so that we can prepare the incoming gamers, at least when the gates open. We might consider phasing in different countries just to manage the concurrent users and scale accordingly. But we'll release more information next week. But KOGs are already in the game. The account system generally is a lot smoother than what we went through during closed beta. And play to earn, we did the announcement for Xanpool. So Xanpool is definitely a way for you to be able to cash out. We are still in the process of finalizing stuff with Gcash for Filipinos. But if in any case, if Gcash doesn't push through, we can still use Xanpool. That is still a way for you to cash out. It's just slightly different. You guys have any other questions?
Thanks, mate. I'm sure they're going to trickle through as the night goes on. But just as Fad said, already seeing the KOGs in the game, and I don't know whether people understand what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks with Xanpool, and I don't know if we've mentioned the other ones yet, have we, Pete? But Gcash, I think that's probably all we've mentioned. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if
we've shared
mentioned
Gcash and Xanpool. We didn't mention the other one yet. Not yet.
Yeah. So there's a couple more. So that I think that the important thing to understand about that is that we're starting to get the Fiat on-ramps put together and in play, and that's going to be tremendously successful as from the perspective of onboarding people. And it's not just it benefits games a huge amount, and it also benefits the rest of the ecosystem as well. But obviously, a lot of roads are leading to the Philippines, which is obviously where a lot of the focus is going, and that's just happens to be that a lot of the ventures are sort of finding a home there. Will you make another AMA with Lenny in real Vault environment, no test, before second land sale so people see how inside stores will look like? Yeah, we want to do as much as we possibly can, George. We're doing lots of, what do they call it, Pete? They're doing a lot of propulsion work on the avatars to try and make sure that they're more realistic and lifelike and all the rest of it. And we've got lots of cool stuff that we want to work on with clothing and avatars and hoverboards, as stated. So, yes, the idea is to show more and more, George, and we want to make sure that we've got a pretty robust campaign leading up to that. I think, obviously, the YGG announcement's just the beginning as far as announcements are concerned, and as stated, stay tuned in the next 24, 48 hours for ways that we can expand our community greatly. Philippines will be the Silicon Valley of crypto. Peddler King, you might be right. I don't know. Fads probably knows better than I do, being closer ear to the ground. But I know that Vietnam are spending a ton of money, time, and doing a lot of political stuff to make sure that they get a Silicon Valley of crypto. Vietnam's doing a massive push at the moment to try and really be the epicenter because they've got such a strong tech base. What about Philippines, Fads?
Well, the thing is, we are hearing rumors about mobile wallets going into the space as well. So once that happens, then I think the adoption rate will shoot up like crazy because a lot of countries are missing the off ramp into from the crypto space. So on ramp and off ramps are critical. So I think one of the major wallet partners are going to push ahead with that probably by first quarter of next year. But in general, I think in terms of adoption, I think Vietnam is still leading versus Philippines. It's just that with more play to earn games coming out, then it becomes faster and faster. So it just shows that people are not just playing one game; they're playing multiple games at the same time. So that shows, adoption will take, like I mentioned before, rate will really shoot up by end of the year.
Yeah, but it's an interesting point you make about like a couple of years ago, you wouldn't have mentioned Philippines or Vietnam as being even remotely strong players in the space for crypto, even though they had avid interests. But the fact is that this Vietnam being the number one country in the world for crypto adoption, and Philippines is definitely not a lagging country. And I think Philippines has a really good selling point in the fact that it's English speaking as well, which is massive, whereas Vietnam's very much isolated to the local language. When are plans to update the Vault webpage? You also have spoken about revamping web pages. How's that progressing? So team's been formed, Crago. We've been very clear to our internal staff and teams and all the rest of it that we want everything finalised and messaging sites and everything by the end of November. We've stated that we want to try and get that done earlier, but we're being realistic. We're trying to give people enough time because we've got the asset structure relatively progressed now. It's more just the content side and the flow. So we're taking inspiration from a couple of other sites, one legacy industry, one crypto space. I won't tell you who they are. You'll see when it comes out. But ultimately, we want to revamp, make the messaging a lot clearer, easier to onboard people. And we've had lots of good feedback from some of the VCs and partners that we're talking to in relation to how to do that. So we want it quicker than you can imagine. We can't wait for it to all be updated. It's going to be very well overdue.
So how will it work using our COGs in game? Will we need a choob? There's different amounts in each. So how do you balance that in each match? So the choob that you use for playing in the game isn't the same as the choob that you would need to qualify for tournaments, Carnage. So we'll release more information about them once the tournament system is announced. But when we launch open beta, the first thing that we're going to test out and reward players with real NFTs is going to be the arena mode. Tournament mode will take a little bit more time because we're making sure that the system that we're implementing can scale properly. So the first version of open beta will have arena. Then once that works very well, we release tournament. So tournaments will be based off seasons, and we'll announce the first season when it starts. I think we are really close, guys. It's just a manner of issue of us making sure that all the requirements we have with the stores are sorted out. Because if we fail those requirements, then we won't get paid, or we won't be able to list our app, right? So we're following due process, and this takes time. Any updates to entry tournaments? Yeah, I think I answered both questions at the same time. We'll release more information about tournament and the utility of the troops once we announce the first season of tournament.
Yeah, actually, that the tubes and containers are
Different.
separate things.
Yeah.
So any cog in your wallet is available in the game. You create a 40 or you create a 40 cog set in the container, and then you use that for the game.
So from today's YouTube AMA, is the second land sale delayed until September? Also, is there any side of the game being released within the next 2 weeks? So you've asked two things. So the second land sale is the campaign. We're working out the campaign now. So that's what we're talking about for the when we're talking about the roadmaps and the communications and the website and all the rest of it. I think the best way to answer that question is to wait over the course of this next week for the stuff that's coming in the next 24 to 48 hours, and a lot of stuff is going to be explained. Game release within the next 2 weeks?
No, we will not be able to release the game within the next 2 weeks. That's for sure.
Have the marquees Callinova and Second Gaming Quarter given an indication if they are ready to reveal themselves soon? Will this wait until we approach the next land sale? So timing is important for sure and certain, but as stated, we have to basically go on their go. Actually, and being honest, a couple of the announcements we want to make around people building in the vault are sitting with us, in all honesty. We also have to be mindful that if we're going out with updates and changes to messaging and new websites and all the rest of it, we've still got the same problem that we had before we roll those out, right? Which is old messaging and not a clean and clear way to onboard people. And we don't have a very good proposition for showing people what value they get for being in the ecosystem. So we need to tidy that up for the people that are coming into the ecosystem. So the announcements that bring people into the game side or COGS side. COGS in the game have a much better and more recent update to their comms and the way that their layouts work. But the old RedFOXLabs.io needs a full refresh, which is what it's getting. So lots of changes on that side, and that's the part that you don't really want to bring the people en masse into at this particular point in time. So we will definitely time that. Fads, we're getting the new special edition set and who it is.
Yeah, we gotta wait for our partner to announce it together with us. So give us a bit of time on that. The COGS design are ready. It's a beautiful set, and the partner is really happy with the way it turned out. We just have to synchronize on the comms to announce. Just give us a bit of time for that. But yeah, the set is ready, and we actually think that it's a good way for us to get something like that partner, a fundraiser through NFTs. It's a feel-good project that I really like.
And I would think and assume that over the course of the next week or so, we'll have a fair few more eyeballs on us as well. So that will bode well for any type of addition. Are you having success rounding up QMs to introduce the prep for handover to managed clients, especially for Callinova Quater? So the answer to that, Urban Gecko, is progressing, but we also are very mindful, again, comes down to, as we've kind of made a point of and keep circling back to, is cleaning up comms and making sure that the onboarding process is really smooth and clear is extremely important. And what we want to do is try and bring people into a much clearer environment and ecosystem. And we've been trying to make sure that we increase our comms to the BAs as well, giving them a greater insight into how the process is flowing, and making sure that there's a good bridge and conduit between us and you guys as well. So yes, all I can say is wait for us to tidy up the comms a little bit and things will flow a lot more nicely.
Would it be reasonable and logical to let Bad Days holder to tube and stake before starting another special edition? Because until now, we never heard when tube and staking, just saying. We mentioned this before, Aguila. We have a special staking window for special editions and game COGs. So once that is closer to being launched, we will announce it. So no, we're not going to do a staking window just for Bad Days.
When will the roadmaps be released? As part of the new comms crypto ball, so on the new website's paraphernalia, we're also working on decks for partner onboarding, investors, and also for partners. And we're using some pretty cool agencies to help us with that have dealt with a lot of big celebrities as well. So we're putting a lot of focus into cleaning this messaging up and making sure that it's a smooth rollout and across the whole business. And we've already talked about the fact that we are deploying a model that's very similar to Red Bull Media House, in the sense that all of our media, comms, tone of voice, everything will be handled from one unit across the ventures. And we have a new CMO starting on, when is it, Pete? Next Monday? We have a new CMO starting?
Monday.
Yeah.
The CMO starts Monday.
So we'll introduce you, and I think I can't really announce it yet, but I kind of can. We're very, very close to moving on the GM for media as well, and that would be a very quick start as well. So that would be pretty much outside of, obviously, hires that are needed along the way and a few more positions filled. RFOX Media would have a very full complement of marketing, media, content, and it's pretty bloody exciting, to be honest. I think it's going to be an extremely important part of our business going forwards, because once these new comms are put together and rolled out, we've got some really good structure coming in place internally with approvals. And we were always running around trying to work out how on the day to finalize the comms and stuff, and now we're starting to get a system. Lots of P2E games. So with this one, return on investment, I think I can answer that one for for you, Fads.
Sure.
Can you just give us a couple of days because I think we can nip that one in the bud. And I think you're right. And the thing is, CCRY, Credence Clearwater Revival, I tell you that a lot of the games have rushed to market and a lot of the games haven't been able to sustain their runs or have burnt out or faded quickly. And unfortunately, the crypto gaming side, and Fads can probably tell me, and Phil can probably tell me that I'm completely delusional, but I have a helicopter view because I'm not building games, right? And I can tell you one thing. Unfortunately, the stigma with a lot of these blockchain games, we've created this disgusting disposable market, which is build a game, release a shitcoin, drive it down to nothing, throw it in the bin and just start again. And it's just this horrible disposable market. And if you're trying to do what we've tried to do and you're trying to build one game that leads to multiple games with interoperability and a sustainable ecosystem that plugs into a token that also powers other parts of an ecosystem, you can't screw that up. Because if you screw that up and you deflate the value of a token that you're giving out through a game, you're deflating the value of a token throughout the whole ecosystem. However, if you can increase the value of the token due to the getting the dynamics, getting the game, getting the structure right, you increase the value of the token across the whole ecosystem. So I think it's safe to say that we have proven that we haven't rushed anything. I will never be accused of that. And I think the thing is that when you start to look at the different ways that we're approaching stuff, so again, give us 24 to 48 hours, you'll see that we're actually trying to do things a little bit differently, more sustainably, and we're actually trying to make sure that we look after RFOX holders and the ecosystem going forwards, including the KOGs holders. But I can guarantee you we're not going down the same path of let's build this disposable garbage and just burn a token, drive it down to nothing, and then go, woohoo, let's anonymously start up another game and NFT project and do the same thing. Is it a Halloween special pack and KOGs.gg to show our RFOX?
We do release periodic updates for the amounts that are left in the pool. This is done every Friday, I believe. Chino, is that right?
Yep. So we will update how much tubes are still staked because as we've seen every week, there are some tubes that has been unstaked.
Yeah. Will RFOX Games release an updated roadmap this week? We have actually submitted our roadmap. I think the plan is to synchronize all the roadmaps from the different divisions or ventures and then release them at the same time. So you'll be able to see a huge overview of what's happening across all the ventures and labs. We have our general roadmap submitted already, but we're waiting for marketing to synchronize that news for everyone. It's coming.
Calls non-RFOX VFOX coming to RFOX.Finance. We have the ability to do that, and I can tell you that we, as I've said before, we were approached by several different companies in relation to working with them to establish pools, and I can say that two of those companies got hacked a while back, and we've become a little bit extra cautious on who you deal with. But we have the ability to do that. It's just a matter of making sure that we in the right amount of time to find the right partners to do that. But yes, we're open to it and looking for it, Harry. Is there another game in the works? Again, another one for you, Fads.
Yeah, we've already begun discussions with it, but just to be transparent, we are focusing on making sure Slam is launched properly and scales well, because that's the core game that a lot of people will come in from. And the second game, like we mentioned, will show interoperability, but in different ways. So let us get the first game right and done properly, and then the second and third game may not even be developed by us. It could be a partnership with another game studio that uses KOGs, RFOX, and other mechanisms within our ecosystem. So, like I said before, core focus is the first game.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy will December be for RFOX? I think in the past we've sort of talked about things bubbling away under the surface and things coming to fruition and all the rest of it. I think what we're seeing is more and more stuff coming together. But one of the reasons we have to rush towards getting these documents and comms fixed is because I was just complaining this afternoon that I can't actually effectively deal with the amount of people that are coming through in one way, shape, or form and talking to us about potential deals that they could do. And because we don't have a clear enough documentation on what it is that we can offer or do for or with people, we've got a lot of people with a lot of ideas coming forwards, and it's very, very time consuming and hard to vet. And that is a problem that we haven't really had in the past. In the past, it's been us approaching people and saying, hey, we've got this, do you want to do this? Now it's the other way around. So now we're having to build a process to deal with the incoming funnel, and that's also indicative of the market, right? But as I've stated before, and I'll state it again, the white labeled NFT platform is definitely the most talked about and in demand thing in the ecosystem from the perspective of new people coming in and wanting to do something. So it's good that we had a few question marks and raised eyebrows over why are you building that? What's it actually going to achieve? And there's so many white label marketplaces out there, and we I think in the beginning, Pete, we probably didn't explain that it's not a marketplace well enough, that it's a platform, and now people are starting to get their head around it. But more importantly, it's the VC, they have the people coming to them and the clients coming to them wanting to deploy collections or whatever. So they're the ones coming to us and saying, do you white label? How do we do it? How do we get it to work? And so now I think by the time, even if we sort of roll that out as a product tomorrow, that the demand and what people are requiring is changing very, very rapidly. But the good part about it is that through media and what we're building over there, which we haven't really publicly declared yet, what we're building over in media with the combination of TV, marketplaces, NFTs, all the rest of it is gives us an added advantage. Because now when people come in to ask for one thing, we can say, while you're here, here's an added extra or a value add. And that's starting to be good. But Pete's team's growing hugely. We can't sort of recruit fast enough to keep up with the build requirements, which is a good thing. And as stated before, we have to sort of push back and sort of say we can't build everything for everybody. So what we're doing is we're choosing very carefully our battles of what it is that we build and what we can roll out. When RFOX run to US, actually XP, it's been it's a simple game. I mean, has anyone actually seen it? Is there footage out there, Pete? Because I've seen it, obviously.
Yeah, let me post the YouTube. There is a YouTube video. Hold on.
Yeah. So on Monday, we were supposed to get updated numbers on player numbers, and it was up to 72,950 on Monday, but we're waiting for a more updated report. It's definitely going up, and they're starting to push to start. They hadn't done any marketing on that. That was just basically natural through the platforms, and now they're starting to push. So we're starting to get numbers through. And again, with what we sort of roll in over the next 48 hours and stuff, what the ultimate goal is to drive people to sign up to our ID system and to join the platform and to join the ecosystem, and then divert their attention to the play to earn, which is obviously the COG side. So we need a lot of planets to align, but getting people signed up into the ecosystem with an RFOX ID, and then having them flow from playing that game into KOGs Slam when it's ready, and with all the new stuff coming, I think that the timing could be very good. And you asked about a number from 1 to 100 for December. I think the market is going to be over 100 full stop for December, and ultimately we've got a lot of stuff dropping at the right time. So it's a matter of Yep, I think everything's looking good. It's lining up very well. I don't think they will deliver that far. Yeah, exactly. But I'm not sure, like, something like Play to Eat, I'm not sure how many people in the US would actually play that. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be played. I've got no idea. I've got no idea what the sort of difference would be between the US and Southeast Asia. But one of the things that we have learned over the last couple of weeks, a few things, is that we've got very good opportunities with some of the partners that we're working to go through into China and also into India, so outside of traditional Southeast Asia. So we have to start looking at the demographics of where people want to do it. I'm sure, Hanford. I'm sure. Yeah, it's pretty good, Carnage. We've got a the response has been very good, and if you've also seen, I don't know if do anyone follow the old My Media channels, which are now being all rebranded to RFOX Media, because I think I told you a couple of weeks ago that we'd sort of put out a few feeler pieces of content in relation to crypto, and we weren't quite sure how it would be perceived or taken up by the tech part of My Media. And the response was straight away very, very strong. And now it's actually performing a lot of the channels. Anything crypto related, they're just gobbling up. They absolutely love it. Lots of hungry people. Yeah, it's very sad, mate. I often talk about the fact that we're very, very lucky. Very, very lucky, mate. Anybody I hope all of you guys are doing okay. And the thing is that it's been a really shit couple of years globally, and a lot of people put on brave faces, and a lot of people think it's not okay to say things are not okay. But the fact is, if we've done a little bit of good, and it's a bit of positive impact, then I'm extremely proud that we were able to do that. It wasn't made to make money. And is there any chance to changing RFOX run to play to earn? We've got plenty of chances, mate. We've got a whole gaming division, and Fadzly's team are capable of building out more games. The idea of RFOX run was it's a different type of game, and it's a simple game, and the type of game that it is designed to be tournament based on platforms that aren't ours and to drive acquisitions. But if it proved that it was like stupidly popular, then that's something we could go and bug Fads about and say, hey, this has ended up being the most popular game in the world. Maybe we need to have something similar to this. But the games guys know what to do in relation to what next and games and stuff like that. But yeah, really great to see that we can actually help people. Yeah, it's pretty sad, XP. I'm really, really happy that the initiative has been well received. But the funny thing is, I'll tell you what, you would assume with all the things that are going on in the world, and this being something that could help people, you'd assume that the mainstream outlets for crypto and all the rest of it would jump all over this and say, look at this, it's a little bit of feel good, look what it's doing to help. And people are like, nah, doesn't talk about Moon or Lambo, so not interested. We'd rather talk about Bitcoin price movement, and, it's very sad. Apologies if I missed the detail on this, but when do we again get clarity on what we can earn from renting a choob for KOGs tournament? That's one for you, Fads.
Yeah, I mentioned just now, once the tournament system is done, we will release news on it. The core focus is releasing open beta with Arena. Once we get closer to the tournament season, then we'll release the mechanics and the prizes as well.
Thank you. Does 5th release special edition come before Slam?
5th release special edition come before Slam? No. Slam comes out first, and then the special edition comes a bit later after that. For those, if you really want to see more KOGs or different designs, when you go open beta, when we go open beta, Arena will start awarding you with real NFTs from the game and from the Arena collection as well. So there is a collection that will be released, but it's not something you can buy through a primary sale. You will have to earn them, and shortly after you'll be able to purchase them on the secondary marketplace as well, from the people that has earned them. So there's a few ways for you to get your hands on them if you wanted to.
The way of the current world, when Lambo, yeah, it's pretty sad, mate. Very sad. But you know, the good thing is that there's people out there that are trying to make a difference and trying to help and trying to give back and trying to do the right thing. So that's the most important thing, is that you know, we're noticing it. We as I said, we don't need to go into it. It's not a selling point for RFOX and all the rest of it, but we've helped a lot of people find, especially kids, find housing and stuff during COVID that have lost their parents. And we didn't do this for any publicity or anything, and it made news here. And as a result, a lot of other companies sort of hyped up and have reached out to the people that publicised that news and asked how they could get involved in such initiatives or whatever. But we just did it ourselves. We didn't. It wasn't part of an initiative. But the good thing is that other companies, it's a really weird thing. Companies sort of see what another company did, and then they sort of say, "Well, we should do the same thing." But it takes one to start it, and then it sort of flows on. Will the next land sales have the same tokenomics as the first? Yep, we haven't changed any of those metrics, crypto balls. So yes, and if so, when would these be paid out? More than likely, they'd follow on from the first payment period. If there's any change to that, we'll let you know. But the idea would be to have it as a continual thing, which is great because it means that we'd have tons of VFOX locked up as well. And we've got a couple of other initiatives that we can roll out that will keep both VFOX and RFOX locked up and very, very low supply. How will mint numbers work on KOGs earned in game, then exported to Wax wallets for listing on the market?
We've released that news as well, Hanford. That's a very good question. I think it's a pretty straightforward situation, but I would have to deliberate with the team to make sure the comms is clear on that.
Tournament KOGs sets all considered limited edition.
Yeah,
so
they're all Arena and Tournament KOGs are all special edition, Urban. So editions have their own staking windows.
What do you consider as a special single KOGs that could have additional value utility besides? We're always talking about Pete's Banana. Again, can you just, like, I'd say Gralic, just wait a few days because we've got some pretty freaking cool stuff to talk about. When will the next Vault walkthrough be shown? I just asked this morning again, Crypto Bull. I was asked it in the AMA, as you might have seen, and I didn't actually have the answer. I said I'll have to check for you. So for all intent and purpose, I was told this morning that it should be next week, but there isn't a hard date. And with the guys that with the team that's building, as I said, there's been a code transfer and lots of stuff going on behind the scenes. So there hasn't been a firm date given. All we've been told is next week. So I would say next week or the week after for the next walkthrough. Are the rewards in play to earn game going to be dependent on number of players? How are the rewards going to be in terms of fiat value compared to other P2E games?
So the thing you got to understand is it's a free to play to earn game. So what we're doing is acquiring a large pool of players from all the Southeast Asian countries, and then making them understand the utility of KOGs as well. So for those who basically are in the play to earn, the daily rewards may not be as lucrative as some other games, but you're actually being rewarded NFTs that can be sold on the secondary market. And what will happen is that people who understand the utility of those KOGs and choobs in the metaverse, in the vault, will start buying them up because they are going to be access level and different kinds of utilities in the metaverse. Now, the people coming into the vault aren't just from games alone. They're from media, they're from finance, they're from all the different ventures from RFOX Labs. And if there's a special event or a special item or something of an access utility level within the vault, and one of the ways you can avail of that privilege is to purchase a choob, then people will start buying up all the tubes that are all the KOGs that are on the market because they have a utility outside of the game, and that raises the value considerably. So the thing is, when you look at the value of how much they're earning, the cap is pretty high, because the thing is, when you start earning NFTs that will be used for somewhere else and potentially even other games in the near future, I can't put a limit on how much they can earn. But if solely based on the RFOX that they're gonna get from coins, then I don't think that's a fair analysis, because the NFTs itself are also very valuable on the secondary market or by itself as a completed set.
How did it feel to spend 40 ETH on a Bored Ape NFT? Do you think that's cheap for what you'll get out of it? In the context of 40 ETH on an NFT, I think if you consider how much other NFTs cost and what value you do get from it and doors unlocking and all the rest of it, I think it is well worth it. We've just talked about people starving and people without homes and food. In the grand scheme of things, it's still ridiculous, right? But I think I'll let you be the judge of that question in a day or two. But I think it is cheap for what we'll get out of it. Yes, very much so, very much so. In actual fact, I was thinking, it might have. I'm still considering more. That's about all I can tell you. Will there be more marketing for the upcoming land sale than for the last? Fancy man? No. And you might say, what? That's no good. There'll be marketing that's much more targeted. We spent a shed ton of time, money, and effort on marketing for the first, and it didn't hit the mark. It went to the wrong places. But that's not to say that it didn't end up yielding a result for us as far as awareness is concerned. But the answer to your question is it will be much more carefully executed this time. We didn't get it right. We did not get it right at all. Our marketing has been not good. Being honest, not been good. And now we're finally putting the structure in place to make it good, but it has a lagging effect, right? It takes time for that to bite. But we have to completely redo. We've got people that know what they're doing it. So, yes. And I think that all of the stuff that we're doing, that we're talking about now, is going to help as well. If December will come too soon, do you plan to unite third and fourth land auction into one event, or should they go into 2022? George, we wouldn't unite them into one event. They'd definitely be two still. But we also have to make sure that the fourth is the crescendo, is the grand finale, is the end. And the only way that can be determined as far as the timing issue is concerned is based on market and based on the value that we've been able to communicate is there and prevalent in holding shops and having shops and all the rest of it. So we have the technology to be able to do, as you know, to be able to do all sales tomorrow. But it's now a matter of timing. It's a matter of, the answer to that question will be, let's wait and see what the market does, but also what these partnerships and collabs that we do sort of do for our audience as well. So the great part about that question is that we're no longer in a situation where we're not ready or we're scrambling or we're not able to. We already proved in the first auction that we can do it straight away. So now it's 100% strategy and timing now. 100%. And there's a few things that we've got coming up that you wouldn't really want those things to be after the sale. You want them to be before. So it's important that we get the timing right. You need a possessive
Yeah,
suffix.
we can have a shop auction tomorrow if we want to.
Yeah.
My
That would
team's
just
ready.
it would be stupid. So let us time that. And the good thing about it is that the market looks like it's primed for a December explosion. And what we want to do is be able to be ready to go. And if we have to push things forward a week, we'll do it. If we have to push things back a week, we'll do it. But what we'll do is we'll make sure that we're doing that in the best interest of all of the token holders, the investors, the shop owners, and we'll absolutely 100%, if we get our timing right and we're ready and we're prepared, and this is the first time we're going into these types of things really prepared and really ready, then no token holder, no investor, no one would mind if we go forwards a week, backwards a week, forwards a month, backwards a month, if it meant a massive difference in value for their investment. So I think that's exciting. What went into the decision for the Ape? There were a few on the market. There were XP. To be honest, the googly eyes are no good. No one wants the ones with the eyes boggling out of their heads. And we wanted to have a relatively docile expression. And there's a reason why we like the glasses and the helmet and all the rest of it. I can't really explain that question any further. And the what we talk about in the next couple of days is not going to actually answer that question for you any further. But
Didn't we just get the cheapest one? I thought it was one of the cheapest ones.
Oh, there was a ton for 38.5, and I think we sort of got a couple of each above the floor.
Ah, okay.
Actually, XP, when we went out and talked about the date, someone came back and said, "You've made $45,700 on your Ape since you bought it." And I said, "No, we haven't made anything. It's still 40 ETH. I would have made $45,700 on the ETH." They're effectively derivatives, aren't they? Has Reebok expressed any new interest to collaborate with RFOX shoe NFT giveaways? Was cool, but being quiet since. Next. Any particular reason 5503 was bought over the other available ones? It wasn't the cheapest, Pete. There was googly eyes. There's always googly eyes on the floor.
Yeah, I thought it was the cheapest on that day. I think that when I checked, the cheapest was 40 ETH, I think, and this was 39.9.
Someone came through and scooped about 6 or 7 up under ours. There was a bit of a flurry, and I was actually the first one that we chose was actually 42 ETH, or around that mark, and I gave it to the guys and said, "Can you buy that one?" And they said, yeah, just I'll have to transfer some funds across or whatever, and then came back about 3 hours later and said it's sold. And I was like, how quickly do these things move? How many people have 40 ETH just lying around and just want to deploy nonstop?
Yeah, apparently a lot. I don't, but apparently a lot.
It's crazy. Yeah, there were cheaper ones still available, mate. Moonboy is having to sell to maintain their new lavish lifestyle. Actually, Hanford, I don't know if you saw it during the week. I saw it. I thought it was really, really interesting. There's a guy who's got like a swag of apes, and he's got a crypto punk as well, and he lost his job. He's not that old. He lost his job through COVID layoffs just recently, and he was saying that he has to claim unemployment benefits because he's not selling one of his NFTs. He bought them when they were really, really cheap. He's never sold one, and he won't sell one. And he said he'd rather starve and live on the street than to sell one of his NFTs at this time. I thought it was absolutely mind-boggling. It reminds me back of the book, remember Don Tapscott or whatever, when he wrote about the Bitcoin and he went looking for Satoshi, and he went to the house with all those people in it that was boarded up. And they were drinking tea, and they had their teeth missing, and they were sharing toothbrushes, but these people wouldn't sell any Bitcoin. I wonder how all those guys are going now. If they're still alive, they'd probably be very, very rich. Where does Bitcoin Benny predict market peaks for this cycle? I think, and it's not financial advice. What do I know? I'm just a dude on the internet. I think the 135 that Plan B and all the rest of it talk about, I think that they're talking about that as a floor in December, like as an average or a base. I think 120 looks like it's very, very possible. And if it does hit 135 or even a little bit higher, I think it'd be a very, very quick peak. I think because you've got to understand psychologically, when you get above 100K of Bitcoin, I don't care who you are. I don't care what the charts say. People that are holding Bitcoins, especially those that bought in at 6, 10, 30, there was a lot of people that are around when Bitcoin went to 20K in 2017, December. And I think 100K will end up being a psychological barrier for a lot of people. A lot of people will take some money off the table for sure. I for one, being a Bitcoin holder and all the rest of it, I would definitely take some. I'll definitely sell some Bitcoin over 100K, knowing full well that I'll probably have a chance to buy it back at a lot lower. But I will not be spending that cash on something else. I'd keep it aside, ready for when it drops. So my answer would be I think somewhere around the 120 mark, and I'm hoping that it doesn't go too fast. If it goes up to there too fast, you'll have a short alt run, and then boom, might be like 2018. I'd rather see it grind up there sustainably and find support, and then have the alts run slowly. But I was just talking about this, and I know that you guys have the DGen hour, but I can talk to you about the DGen stuff if you're actually interested in that. But you'll notice that the NFT market's going through a little bit of a winter. What's happening is a lot of people are moving money out of NFTs, especially the ETH-based ones, into the altcoins, thinking that it's going to be around the corner, and they'll come back in and buy their NFTs up back at with their profits that they make from their altcoins. I say that's an extremely dangerous bloody ploy, because if you have a look at a lot of the projects in the NFT space in the ETH market that look like they could potentially be blue chips, like your Jungle Freaks and these really solidly supported new ones that are coming out, people are not buying the floor. It's very, very different behavior to a lot of these projects where people are buying the floor. People are buying the top 100, 200, 500s. They don't stay on the market very long. So that's big money, smart money. And smart money is coming in at huge rates of not right now, because when you do come back into the market, when you think you've got your alt gains, there's a few very, very smart people putting a lot of money into NFTs now, a lot. And when you've got people like Jordan Belfort from Wolf of Wall Street going out and buying a CryptoPunk, you know that we are at the very tippy top of the beginning of what is about to flow into NFTs, especially if we go through an alt run. So I'm not giving anybody financial advice, but what I'm saying is that I would be very reluctant to be selling NFTs in a down-ish movement, thinking that I'm smart enough to be able to go and make massive alt gains and come back in and buy my position back. I think you'll have to come in and buy a crappy Liquidity one. Observation: since Philippines is the largest market we're targeting for Slam, I'm surprised the Filipino channel is so quiet. Any planned strategies to increase participation rates for that demographic? All those users for credence will come in when the play to earn starts to flow, mate.
Yeah, just to be transparent, we haven't begun any marketing pushes in Philippines yet, because the game is not ready for open beta. So we have reached out to a few of the different communities. YGG is obviously one of them, and they will be one of the first few communities that come into the game during open beta. But in general, we have a marketing plan when that phase starts, and there will be a significant amount of noise that will be generating for this new opportunity for Filipinos for play to earn.
Benny, you must be disappointed in the RFOX price during a bull year, and you must understand why a lot of members are disappointed. I understand that people would be disappointed with the RFOX price, and I understand that we've had, to deal with FUD and lots of other stuff. Absolutely, but as far as the long-term prospects and everything is concerned, there's not a lot we could have done differently outside of the marketing side of things. Marketing is extremely important, as we know. I don't think that we have missed our run, mate. And honestly speaking, if we haven't performed as well as some of the other stuff in the market, I don't know how many people have been around for any period of time, but if it were me and people like me, I look for tokens that are in categories that look like they're going to do very well, that haven't had the runs and the success that the other ones have had, and they're the ones I put all my money into. Yeah, that's true, Phantom. We've got a lot of people, we cop a lot of stuff that I don't want to talk about because I don't want to make something into a problem that's not. But some of the BAs have talked to me about this, and some of you guys have worked that out as well. Some of you have been complaining about the price and trading volumes and all the rest of it, and said we've got people leaving the community and there should be more people coming in. And on the same token, you've said, how have I slipped from X wallet holder down to X wallet holder? How's that possible? That's all I'll say on that. But the fact is that there are people that are accumulating. There's no doubt about that. Nice, Benny. That's why I'm here and back this team. When the leaders are willing to invest and back their own project that shows commitment and faith to the project, I follow people and products, not profits, even though I know that they'll come. Mate, when they do come, what I want to have happen is, and I think we've made that clear with what we're building and what we're doing, I want our token to, once it does go and it properly goes and it properly runs, I want it to go slowly and sustain it. And I don't want it to come back down. I want it to build and grind, and I want to do that sustainably. And I want to make sure, and the team does as well, we want to make sure that we have a minimal dependency on market movements. And decoupling takes a long time. But there's a few tokens out there that have showed that although they haven't decoupled, that they are less impacted by general market movements. And I think that the way that we're building and what we're building, that will be the case for sure. Yeah. But Dogma, okay, let's say that. Let me play devil's advocate for 2 seconds. I suppose the problem is that information you talk about isn't public, so we have to take your word for it. Okay, so take my word for nothing, right? Let's just take things on face value. So let's say that we've got nothing. Let's say we've got absolutely nothing. That the white label platform that we launched Miss Universe on isn't real. Let's say that our websites are fake. Let's say that our game is not real, that there isn't people playing it. Let's say that KOGs are not real, you can't purchase them and all the rest of it. So let's just pretend that nothing of what you can see exists. And then you look at what the revenue of the company is for the year to date. And we've got we've had a $20 million projection for the year for revenue. And that includes all the rest of the land sales, game release, everything. We've done well over $6 million of revenue already. Take that into consideration. The current market rates in this region, they're doing four times the next year. So, for example, if we have $50 million revenue projection for next year, the companies are being valued at 4x their revenue projection for the following year. I don't know why. That's how they're doing it. If we went out and said we're doing 50 million next year, and they do a 4x on the 50 million, there's a 200 million valuation just on 50 million. So none of what you're seeing makes any sense. And yet we've got projects out there that have got $20 billion valuation that are going to do $1 million or $2 million in revenue in the year. There's a company that's got well over $1 billion valuation, and I was talking to them the other day, and they were saying that they're going to do $2.8 million in revenue for the year. $2.8 million in revenue, and they're operating at a loss, like a massive, massive, massive loss. I don't understand. Yep. Geez, I've gone over, mate. Well over. Yes, we can.
We
Irvin, you
appreciate
okay with-
that, Lenny.
Yeah, no problems. If there's anything else, I know that you guys your time's precious, and I want to say thank you very much for joining. I hope that you know, a lot of people say that they come when market dips and all the rest of it, they feel better just talking to people and being around people. But I'll say this one thing. I'll leave you with this one lovely thought. Everybody always says, doesn't matter when you join crypto, you're early, you're early, you're early. We keep going through these periods where markets pull back, things are volatile, and all the rest of it. Just have a look at what's going on in the space at the moment. Have a look at what's being built. Have a look at these. There's a lot of stupid stuff happening as well, and stupid money being flung around. But the fact is, we're in a really exciting building phase, and we don't even have proper tools yet. We can't even get the tools that we need to launch the products that we're building, so we have to build the tools. So it just goes to show you how damn early. If a company like us, who are much more about the vision and the pulling everything together, have to build the tools, then we're a long, 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 long way away from this thing being over. This is the very, very beginning. So just look at dips as being very, very temporary. Don't let them stress you out, and just remember that you should be here for the long run as far as investing is concerned. Have an awesome night, guys. Always great speaking to you. Have an awesome week. And what I will say is keep your eye on the social channels for the rest of this week, because I can assure you, if you don't like our direction and what we're thinking in the next few days, then you probably cannot be pleased. Have a fantastic night, guys. Speak to you very shortly.
Cheers, Benny.
See you guys.